Hi guys, I hope you guys can hear me and you're not being disturbed by that construction going on out there somewhere. I thought we could continue a bit. Some days are just easier to film than others, yeah? So, we're still on our empty nest topic. I don't know which part this will be. We'll see when we start the edits, because I think probably part 1 was pretty long. I was trying to think of ways in which, as an empty nester, you can stay motivated. It's usually pretty difficult. Adjusting can be rather hard for some parents because, you see, we are used to building our lives around these kids when they are there. So one of the things you can do is to make plans. When you're an empty nester, you're used to having your days filled with child-related activities, and the end of that era can leave you with a lot of empty days because, as most of you know, school functions and events take up a whole lot of time. So when you're raising kids, you barely have a moment, there's so much of this going on. Now, finding a way to fill those hours, those empty hours, can be very difficult. And a good thing to do, one of the things that you can do, is to reach out to family and friends and make plans to go out with them. Look for ways to, whether you'll have a casual dinner, whether you can have a night of card games or board games at home, or going elsewhere, taking trips to places like local museums, those kind of things is a good first step in establishing how to fill those days, those hours, because when you have so much of that time with nothing to fill it in, that's how a lot of empty nesters end up with depression. Because all of a sudden, from not having a moment to breathe, you go to having so much time on your hands, you don't really know what to do, yeah? So another thing that you can do is to take a trip. Go on a trip. For the first time in ages, in a long, long while, you can leave home without having to worry about childcare, because even when your kids are in their teens, leaving them for a weekend, your mind is still on them almost all the time. You're just like expecting disaster, when you come home. So this time now, for a fact that you've locked the house, you've actually locked down the house, and unless it's a burglary that occurs, you're going to find even a spoon exactly where you left it. Nothing changes. There's nobody you've left in the house. So you can probably start with just a weekend away to begin with. Start small as you get used to the idea, and then with time you will be able to go for longer trips, and you can now start planning for places you've always wanted to go that you never had the chance, whether it's a road trip or whether it's something that's actually far. You're going to go by air and take a month, 2 months. One of the best ways you can do it is go with a group of friends. That way you can cut on costs. Of course, we are in a season where probably what you're relying on is your retirement or your small business you're running. You don't want to run yourself into the bank. Into the ground, yeah? You don't want to clear all your savings on a one-off, in as much as you deserve it at this point, right? So number 3 is a good one. I think it's a fun one. Rediscover the child in you. We were all children once. Of course, we've forgotten. Most of us have forgotten what that felt like. But another thing that you can do, if you're at a loss what to do with your time, is to try and rediscover those things that you used to love. What used to excite you as a child? Can you remember? Sit down and actually journal. Take time to think of what it is you love to do. If you can remember the memories of what used to get excited, what you'd look forward to. It could be a game, it could be, drawing. You used to like dressing up, as a kid, or all those type of things. you can find that trying to reconnect with those things, taking up a hobby, trying to do those things that you used to love. If you used to like painting, try taking it up now, traveling, that kind of thing. When you remember as a child, you're so uncomplicated by the struggles and the weight of life. So normally your true inner desires are expressed when you're a child and free. So if you can remember those things, you can thrill yourself with something as small as taking up painting or creating stuff, doing some craft, and putting your whole self into it because you have the time. What is stopping you after all? Yeah. So that's another nice thing to do that can help you fill up your days. That's number 3. Number 4, look forward to visits from your kids. Your kids are obviously going to visit you from time to time. This is not something that you can sit down and plan like every day you're going to sit there and look out the window waiting for them. But no, you'll visit they'll definitely come, and you too will go and see them. But you can look forward to seeing them without feeling as if it's just laundry day, or that you have to make their favorite foods. No, just plan for the fun of the visit, enjoy the company, even if they're far, they're few and far between. Make the most of that day. Don't begrudge it. Don't feel as if you just have to cook. Do take out if you have to. Most of the time for them, coming home to mom's cooking is one of the big things, but because it's not an everyday thing, you're going to enjoy it. And then if you're the one who's going to visit, you're probably going to a new area, so that's going to be fun. You're going to be hosted, that's a different thing. And then be pleasant. Remember, when you go, don't try to take over the home and give instructions and feel as if you're the one running everything. You're a guest. Enjoy. If they have enough space, stay with them and enjoy it. If not, stay in a hotel nearby. At least be prepared, be open to all those options, so that it doesn't become now like a drag. Let the whole thing not be like it's a duty. Yeah, I think that's number 4. So number 5 is take stock. Try to take stock. It's okay to feel sad about how much you miss being with them and everything, even when they used to make you go crazy, or sick with anxiety. But look at all the stuff that you've been able to do for them over the years. Take stock, and it'll really boost your esteem. Think of every PTA parents meeting you attended. Think of every homework you helped them do, every dollar you spent on lessons, on camps, on clothes, Just think back and just tell yourself, yeah, I did good. When you spend time thinking about all that you've accomplished, everything you've done to help your child grow and get to the stage they're at, it will make you feel as if really this period you're in is very well deserved, and you'll appreciate everything that you've done, everything you've gone through. The sacrifices you've made are that much sweeter because you managed to get this person to a full-blown adult. From think of when they just came out of the womb, they couldn't do anything. You had to do every single thing for them. Till now, you'll be able to appreciate yourself and the effort you made a whole lot more. Now, the second last one is taking care of yourself, which we had mentioned before in one of the earlier parts. If you've spent like the last 18 to 20 to 21, 22 years taking care of your kids, most likely you've been neglecting yourself. Yeah? So this is your chance. This is your chance to change those habits and focus on you. Spoil yourself a bit, a lot. You deserve it. Do some nice simple salads that you've always wanted, that you maybe couldn't do before because you had to do a whole meal. You have to cook there and slave, and maybe you don't want to. Treat yourself to some healthy takeout if you can. Maybe post-pandemic, it will be a possibility. Right now, probably making the food yourself is best. Nap every moment you can. Take naps as and when you want, because you've been working so hard for these kids for so many years. You do not need to feel guilty. You might still, it still feels a bit funny to just sleep maybe in the daytime, but What's the harm? What's the harm? If you don't do it now, when will you enjoy that time? I think there's some smoke. Someone is burning something outside, so I'm joking a bit, but nevertheless, I think you can hear me. The last one is patting yourself on the back. Give yourself a handshake, because as a parent, your greatest desire is seeing your child becoming self-fulfilled. They've gone to college, they've gone to work, they're being able to be a productive adult, even if it's in small steps, just they're being able to be self-sufficient. For you, being able to navigate the world, this is a very, very satisfying and fulfilling thing for any parent. So you should give yourself a well-deserved pat on the back. You've done your work well, with God's help. Of course, being a parent never really ends. We all know this, but for the part that you've been able to, now you're seeing you've managed to put this person on their own 2 feet. They can think, maneuver, and plan their lives on their own. You deserve a pat on the back. Give yourself that pat on the back every now and then. Anytime you start feeling down, as if maybe you haven't done enough or you haven't done it well, look back and see how far you've come, how far these children have come, and just appreciate yourself for everything you've managed so far. It is very, very well deserved, and it should not be taken for granted, really. So you might also want to think about finding your purpose now in the empty nest. Let's leave a bit of what you're actually doing. What does it mean to find your purpose? Yeah, once kids leave the nest, it's a bit hard to picture how life should look. Doubtless raising kids is a sacred calling. It's meaningful, rewarding work. It's just having your heart outside your body all the time. It gives you purpose, and it really doesn't let you go. It's a lifelong thing. You will always be a parent. But now that they've left, it's very normal for you to think like, okay, what now? What now? There are many books you can look at. You can look for a lot of content online, but it can leave you feeling a little empty, like, what is there? What am I really doing? And one of the great things you can do is getting to know yourself again. You might not, as we talked about finding the child in you, you will also discover that now the adult in you also has new and different desires. So you need to take time, take yourself slowly. Take time on introspection, look inward, because in between running for football practice and running for the meeting and going to do homework, none of that focus was on yourself. You were not focusing on yourself at all. All that attention was on them. So now get to know yourself again. You'll probably find that you're a completely different somebody than you were before you had those kids. First of all, you've developed new skill sets and passions in the process of taking care of them, and you're likely to discover that what used to thrill you before no longer does. What are you good at now? What are the new skills you've learned? And you can make a list of them and see how can you use them. Can you use them to maybe teach some guys, or do some work for some people that they might be willing to pay you for, and you can find yourself making an income from what your experience in the past has taught you. It's worth it to take a moment, sit down with a book and learn the adult you. Compare with what you loved as a child. Do you still have those same passions, or have they changed completely? And then see how you can pursue, explore them, and find new things that can take up your time. Things like photography, yoga, traveling. There's so many things that when you look into, and then now you have the time to experiment as well. Try something you've been thinking about. Does it work? Maybe you thought about it and you thought it would be really great, and then when you try to do it, it no longer thrills you. a lot of things that people do is right. Blogging is something that hits people after, when they find they have so much time. You're talking to people through pen and paper, and you're able to express yourself. And a lot of people reading learn and garner a lot of knowledge from what you think is just an experience. At 50 it's hard to go back to learning mode, but you might require to humble yourself and take some classes in a few things here and there. You'll be surprised at how much you learn. For instance, if you have a passion about things like fashion, when you were with it and in it, things you'll find that things have gravitated and become a completely different thing. So for you to be in the know and be able to be up to it, and if you want to do a fashion blog or that kind of thing, you might find that you have to go back and learn what is trending now. Be humble enough to go back and say, okay, I need to know about what's current, what's trending, and learn about it. Yeah.